Hello, it's your girl Helena J. Welcome to another episode of Couch Chronicles. I am so excited to introduce to you guys my guest for today, Miss Lakeisha Solomon. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm fabulous. How are you?
I am wonderful.
Good,
I have been
good.
rocking with this girl for quite some time. I'll let her tell her story, but I'm very excited for you guys to meet her. So take us back, Lakeisha, to when you first joined. What was going on in your life at that time?
Ooh, okay. So when I first joined, or just before, I was 29 years old. I had been married 9 years, and I had 4 children.
Ooh.
Twins that were 7, one that was 5, and one that was 3. And I was coming out of, I had just resigned from 10 years as an educator. And I was at a point where I was really looking for something else, but I didn't actually know what that something was. I was looking for more flexibility.
Okay.
I was looking for more money.
For sure.
Sounds crazy, right?
I
More
come from education,
flexibility.
you know I get it.
More flexibility, more money. Sounds like an oxymoron to some, but that's what I was looking for. And I was also looking for a way to have better control over my routine as a working individual, as a wife, as a mother, and other things.
Makes sense.
So that's basically where I was at that point in time.
Okay, so tell us who introduced you to SYNCIS.
Oh, my dear sweet friend. She and I had known each other. We met through church because our husbands knew each other.
Okay.
And we quickly hit it off, both educators. And if anyone knows this individual, they know that she is always a big supporter of anything that we were trying to do. So I told her about my health goals. So we were gym buddies.
Okay.
She would drag me out of bed at 4 a.m. so we could get to the gym every day. And I was just venting to her about my situation and how I wanted a career change and all of these things. And she's so sweet. She just listened. And then she asked me, had I ever done a personal analysis of my financial situation before? And I said no. And she said, well, if you're looking for a new career and you're looking for more money and flexibility and all of these things, don't you think it would be a good idea to spend some time understanding what that number actually is?
Probably.
And then look for the career that's going to suit that. And no one had ever told me that before, and I had never thought about it. It seems so funny now.
Yeah.
But in my years as an employee, my mindset had always been, you sit down, you interview, they offer an amount, you say yes or no, and you move on. I had never thought about working the other way and figuring out what the amount is first and then going from there. So she told me, I know the person you need to sit down with. And guess what, guys? She introduced me to this lovely person right here who's talking to me today. And you sat down in our living room with my husband and I and turned our world upside down.
I love it. I love it. That's a good way to put it, upside down. So, Lakeisha, tell me what makes SYNCIS unique.
Wow, there are so many answers that I have to that. But in particular, I'll focus on the fact that being a mother and being an entrepreneur and a wife and ministry, all of these different things, I found myself very stressed and overwhelmed by the different things that needed to be done. And more than that, I was overwhelmed by the time restriction that went with it. Mm-hmm. So going back to my previous career as an educator, having to be at work at 7 a.m. and not leaving until 4 p.m. or 6 p.m. depending on the day, right? There were certain things that just the restriction that came with that. There's nothing I can do in that time window that complicated life for me. So one of the biggest things was being able to see other women, other mothers that have similar situations and having success in this company and having the mentorship to be able to connect with them and find out exactly how they're able to achieve even greater success than what I had ever achieved in my life, but still be able to be present mentally and physically. And so that has been a treasure that I have found here, is being able to glean from that mentorship from other people. And they say, if you want to get somewhere, you need to find the person who's gotten where you're trying to go and find out how they got there. And so I have definitely been able to find that here within SYNCIS, and having that willingness of mentors to be able to support in that way is a treasure, I believe.
Now, you guys know I'm single, no kids, right? Total opposite of my dear friend Lakeisha, but it works for all of us. That flexibility, allowing you to, I know you homeschool your children, being able to be there for them, you know, make sure their lives, they're all 4 soccer stars, to be able to do that. So that's probably a part of that, right?
Absolutely. When I came to SYNCIS, that was not my plan. Yeah. My children had just started playing soccer and they were in school. They were not homeschooled at that time. I had no idea that life was going to take us that direction, but when it did, it was definitely a blessing that we were here when it happened. Also, I can add that 2 of my children also were diagnosed with epilepsy not long after we came into SYNCIS. And so that caused a lot of shifts, which actually pushed us in the direction of homeschooling. And so being able to be present, being able to get them to those neurology appointments, being able to do all of the things that were necessary and not be restricted because of the time frames that I had in my previous career, that was a huge deal for our family.
Being a wife, a mother to Judah, the beautiful, big, huge dog that she has as well, being one of the most fabulous singers that I know out there in ministry. Tell us, what is a typical day as an entrepreneur in this business, navigating all of those things? What does that look like for you?
Oh, it is ever changing. It is ever changing. For one, over the summer, my younger son, who's now 14, I didn't mention they're now 16, 14, and 12, but my 14-year-old son and I took a 2-week trip overseas for soccer. And that was supposed to be an opportunity for him to explore and find out, you know, what it is like to play in another country. And with that came an opportunity for him to move there and to do a residency academy. And so you know, I definitely, one of the biggest blessings of this business is the mindset change that has happened with my husband and I has caused my children to have a totally different childhood. The way that they think, the things that they believe they can accomplish, the things that they go after, the opportunities. They're not afraid of any challenge. Yes. And they, you know, our parents used to say, you think money grows on trees. I don't think my children even think about money. They just think about access. They're able to access things and they don't feel restricted like maybe some of us did. I know I did growing up. I felt, you know, kind of intimidated about accessing certain things. And so my children were not. So as soon as that opportunity was presented to my son, he was like, yes, I want to do it. This is what I want. And he was so confident about it. And so since August, and it's been 4 months now, I have a child in another country, which means I get a phone call at about 2 a.m. Hello, checking in phone call, because it's the afternoon there. It's and that's his first break time. So I start then. After talking to him for however long, then I try to get another nap.
It's not even sleep now. It's
yes, not sleep. It's a nap. And then I'm back up again, preparing for the day. So I start with devotion, prayer. I try to get some exercise time in before the rest of the house wakes up. Everyone else is up around 8:30 because the homeschool life, they get to start school at 9. Yeah. So once they get up and get going, I no longer do any cooking. That's another wonderful thing my children have learned how to do since being at home. But then I go right into meetings. So my office space, my husband works from home as well, so we have our different office spaces, and children know what the routine is. I get right on the computer, we're on Zoom, and we're working through appointments. Everybody's in different spaces doing what they need to do. And so my house kind of looks like a co-working space. I was
going to say a WeWork or a Regis.
Yes, it looks like that because in every room you see different people doing work at the same time. And then hopefully by the afternoon we're out to get into the field. And then in the evening we're off to soccer things. And I will drive, let's say, sometimes 2 hours on the freeway. Mm-hmm. But when I get to my child's practice, then my car becomes the office. And then I'm back into meetings from the car. And then we get on home. So that's what a typical day looks like.
That's a beautiful opportunity, honestly, to be able to be so present in your children's lives and their activities, and to show them a mindset of wealth, of access. I absolutely love that. I'm very, very happy to hear that.
Thank you.
So, Lakeisha, tell us what was one of the most challenging times for you in SYNCIS?
Well, that's an easy question because it was just last year. One of the most challenging times for me in this business was last year. Both of my grandfathers became ill at the same time, one in Oregon and one in Louisiana. And so I had a lot of traveling going between the two, helping to take care of them, helping my parents, my family, with the things that they needed. And it was definitely an eye-opening experience for me, especially because one of my grandfathers, extremely healthy, never been hospitalized, never had a surgery. And I just never could think in my mind what life would look like if it changed, for him. I just remember just having to suddenly figure out how things would be different and what I needed to do to still be able to be present. And I have to say, again, the mentorship and the teamwork aspect of this company was a huge blessing, because being able to, when you don't work alone and you're not by yourself, you don't necessarily have to figure out how to pick up all the things at one time, right? So if there was a time, for example, where I had to be on a flight, right? Who's going to run the team meeting? Who's going to do this, right? So having that teamwork and that support from you and others, was a huge blessing. And it allowed me to still be able to be present, but then still take care of what needed to be taken care of. So I'm definitely grateful for that. And that's something that, you can be in this industry, but that's something that's unique to SYNCIS, I believe. And so I'm thankful for that.
A challenge turned into a success story.
Yes.
I love you. Just always positive. Always positive. So, as we wrap up our time together, tell us, everyone out there listening, what is something that you would say to someone considering joining SYNCIS?
What are you waiting for?
I love it.
What are you waiting for? We are in a time right now. There are so many things happening in this world. Economically, there's so much tragedy. There's so much uncertainty. I remember when I started as a teacher, they were giving emergency credentials.
Yes.
I didn't get one of those, but I worked for mine.
Yes.
But they were giving them out because there was such a need, such a shortage. And in the same decade that I was teaching, they went to laying off teachers for the first time, right? So we're in a space now where there are so many things that are not guaranteed. And what I realized when I came here is the most uncomfortable position we could be in is where someone else makes the decision for us, whether we get to show up to work, whether we get paid, how we earn a living to support our family. And so I would say to anyone considering, take advantage of it now. Don't delay, because what do you have to lose? I've been here, September will be 10 years. It's crazy to think that 10 years have gone by. But what I would definitely encourage you to do is take that step and find out what it could look like for you. This business can be a platform for so many different things, but first and foremost, it's an opportunity for you to take control of what it is that you want for your life and for your family. So don't delay, jump right in.
I love it. Well, thank you, Lakeisha. We really appreciate having you. I am Helena J, and this has been another episode of Couch Chronicles.